Welcome to Swedish winter. It's windy, it's cold, and it's where the Volvo has been born, engineered, and developed. This is the Volvo XC60, generation 2. And what do I mean by generation 2? Well, it has a bigger battery, longer range, and a stronger electric engine. That is the headline, but of course, being a generation 2 or facelift, there has been some changes to the exterior and interior. And in this review, I'm going to find out if this is the car that you should buy if you want a mid-sized SUV plug-in hybrid. What are the headlines? Well, the bigger battery is 18.8 kilowatt hour and the electric engine is now 145 horsepower, combined 350. A 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in about 6 seconds, but that doesn't really matter because this is a family car, so to say. It's the mid-sized SUV, so it sits in between the Volvo XC40 and the big daddy Volvo XC90. And in this extra option, white paint, it fits nicely in today's winter weather. Regarding the facelift changes on the exterior, you might not have noticed in the front, because you will only notice them if you put the facelifted version next to the non-facelifted version. It's that minuscule. But if you look at the rear, there are some cues to why this is the facelifted version, and that is no tailpipes. They are underneath all of this. So this is the new rear part. Minuscule, but it is Volvo's way of making it feel fresh. Does it work? Maybe. It's a nice looking vehicle from the start. Quite angular, and it definitely sticks out in the jungle of mid-sized SUVs. Luckily, the bigger battery or stronger battery is not actually bigger. So it does mean that you still have the same rear luggage space as before. And look, no huge ridge, easy to get stuff in and out. Nice feature. That's how you close a Volvo. Some car manufacturers use this. Here you use this. Works really well when you get the hang of it. The XC60 was presented in 2017. While that might not sound that long ago, the XC90, which forefronted the new design language from Volvo, is even older than that. And when you consider that the new electric C40 still has the same design language and is pretty similar to the XC40, one might think that it is time for something a bit new. Polestar is doing something completely new, while still obviously Volvo. That's maybe something that Volvo should have considered. I was quite surprised of how much knee space and head space there is. And this car comes as standard with a panoramic sunroof. Take notes, car manufacturers from Germany. However, Volvo has made a conscious decision, I think, at reminding you that you have a base model. This is obviously a button for something. Probably heated rear seats. Yeah, they remind you that you have a base model. Not that good. This is the Type 2 charger. Nothing unique, standard. But since the battery is now bigger and it can get a maximum of 3 kilowatt just about, it will take about 5 hours to charge this battery completely. 5 hours? Well, you need to have a charging box or something at home, because going to the supermarket and doing your weekly groceries, that won't take 5 hours. This car is not option with the extra luxurious materials, but it feels okay. But the seats are quite wide. They are not that supportive. You slide around in them. Feels like you're sitting in a bowl that's going down a waterfall or something when you go through the bends. The infotainment system is Google's own, and it works amazing well. I'll talk more about it when I drive. The digital gauge cluster, also Google's, Works really nice. You have a map that refreshes really quick, gives you where you are, wherever you are. Driving the Volvo XC60 T6 Recharge, well, yeah, it's a mouthful, but some quick shots. What I think is good about this car and what I like less about this car. First and foremost, the drive or the ride. Soft, but not too soft. It's a really happy in between, which Volvo has done a really nice job. The steering wheel is a bit too soft, or the steering in itself, but you can go into the menu and change it to be a bit heavier. Of course, it's not that communicative, but it at least makes it not feel like you're steering with some jelly in between the steering wheel and the tires. I love the Google's infotainment system. The icons are clear, the refresh rate is really quick, and all in all it's a good system to navigate. But in today's standards, this infotainment screen is quite small. It is about the size of a tablet, which is good if you have it in front of you, but since it is mounted quite far from you, everything is quite small. So that's a problem when you want to read what's standing on that infotainment system. Regarding the driving dynamics, having a more powerful electric engine and a more powerful battery really helps to make the driving experience more calming. I mean, that electric engine is so smooth in its power delivery, and since it is so powerful, the petrol engine rarely kicks in, which means that it's quiet for most of the time. And when the petrol engine kicks in, you don't or hardly feel it or hear it. But if you need some more power, that engine kicks in and all of that power comes in a quite surprising jump or bolt. This car has four-wheel drive. And how do they do or make this four-wheel drive system? Well, the electric engines power the rear wheels and the petrol engine powers the front wheels. And since the car is mainly in pure electric, that means that you have a mainly rear-wheel driven car. And especially now we're winter in Sweden, and when there is some pretty slippery conditions, it's difficult to power out of sticky situations. You can really feel the rear wheels driving, and then you can feel the whole engine kick in, and then you go forward. Maybe having a mainly front wheel bias would make it easier to get out of sticky situations. Luckily, there's a remedy for it. If you go into the menu, into driving, you have constant all-wheel drive. But of course, to have constant all-wheel drive, you need to have a charged battery. So that means that the petrol engine charges the battery, and the car will use more gas. So, to conclude, the Volvo XC60 T6 Recharge. A range that can compete with anything else on the market. A price that is also competitive. All in all, a competitive product that you should absolutely consider when you want a mid-size plug-in crossover SUV.